Hello everyone, welcome to the next installment of the Speedrunner 0218 December Mania. In the previous video, we did Generation 2 with the Johto Legendary Beasts, Raikou, Entei, and Suicune, and they honestly performed quite good. The results weren't exactly what I expected going in, but I don't want to spoil too much, so I'll just leave it at that. Today, we will be doing Pokemon Sapphire with the Hoenn trio starters, Sceptile, Blaziken, and Swampert. These starters are among some of the most memorable to people because most of us, including myself, grew up around the 3rd generation. Although I will say, I never played Sapphire, Ruby, or Emerald. I only played Fire Red and Leaf Green. I didn't play Hoenn for the first time until the remakes, but I did grow up around the 3rd generation. But I'm sure for a lot of other people, these are the starters they used first. So why don't we get straight into the video, shall we? We're going to be starting off with Sceptile, and then we're going to move on to Blaziken, and then to Swampert. This will be the first chapter I like to call Chapter 1, Roxanne. Okay, so if we take a look at Sceptile's base stat total, it has 70 HP, 85 attack, 65 defense, 105 special attack, which is really good because in Generation 3 all grass moves are special, so they'll be utilizing our best stat. And we also get 85 special defense and 120 speed. So Sceptile is pretty much the speedy of the trio, so we don't have to worry about anything outspeeding us. And our starting moveset is Absorb, Leer, Pound, and Quick Attack. Absorb is only 20 base power, yeah, but since Roxanne is a Rock-type specialist and she has a Geodude and a Nosepass, she'll be pretty easy with Sceptile. And then after that, at level 16, we'll get Fury Cutter, which is honestly just a trash move in general, unless we get the same type attack bonus, which Sceptile does not. And then one level later at level 17 we get Pursuit, and then we get Screech, Leaf Blade, which is going to be our best grass attack, and then we get Agility, Slam, Detect, and False Swipe. Those last few moves are just trash, I'm not going to use them. And also, why does Pokemon love giving very fast Pokemon agility? Like, I can guarantee you Sceptile's not going to be utilizing that. Via TMs, some of the best moves we get are Focus Punch, Dragon Claw, Bullet Seed, Hidden Power, Giga Drain, Solar Beam, Iron Tail, Earthquake, Return, Dig, Brick Break, Rock Tomb, Aerial Ace, and Secret Power. So we honestly get a nice move variety. I'm honestly surprised that Sceptile actually gets Earthquake. I will definitely utilize that when I can. Now we're going to move over to Blaziken really quick, because I want to get all of our stats out of the way before we talk about the rest of the split. Blaziken has 80 HP, 120 attack instead of special attack, but even then we get 110 special attack, so Blaziken is pretty much the glass cannon of the trio because our defensive stats are not that good, but we can hit like a truck. And our starting learn set is going to be Ember, Focus Energy, Growl, and Scratch. It does say Fire Punch on here, but that's only by move relearner. And then after that we can get Double Kick at level 16, and then Peck, Sand Attack, Bulk Up, which is really good. Bulk Up raises your attack and defense stat by 1 stage, so it's basically using Curse, but without the speed drop, so that's really good. And then we can get Quick Attack, Blaze Kick, Slash, Mirror Move, and Sky Uppercut. Via TMs, we get some of the same TMs as Sceptile, but obviously swap the grass ones for fire ones. We get Focus Punch, Hidden Power, Return, Earthquake, Dig, Brick Break, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Rock Tomb, Aerial Ace, Secret Power, and Overheat. Overheat is pretty much our most powerful fire attack with 140 power, but it has the drawback of lowering our special attack by 2 stages, so I can guarantee you we're not using this move. We're sticking to Flamethrower, thank you. If we just look at base stat totals, Swampert is technically the strongest, because it gets 5 extra base stat points compared to everyone else. Sceptile and Blaziken have a total of 530, Swampert is 535. But let's take a look at how they're spread. We get 100 HP, 110 attack, 90 defense, 85 special attack, 90 special defense, and 60 speed. Swampert is basically the slow, defensive, hard-hitting Pokemon. It can take a punch It's very slow. It can't hit special attacks that well, which is kinda bad because all water type moves are special, but our attack is really good. And our moveset will definitely utilize those good stats. We start off with Growl, Mud Slap, Tackle, and Water Gun, and then we get Bite at level 15, which is not going to be useful, and then we get Mud Shot at level 16, and then Foresight, Mud Sport, which is useless, Takedown, which is also useless, Muddy Water, Protect, Earthquake, and Endeavor. Muddy Water is honestly a really dumb move. It's the same base power as Surf, but it's less accurate. Why would I use Muddy Water over Surf? If we learned it earlier than the point we get Surf, then maybe, but yeah, no. And for Swampert TMs, we get Focus Punch, Water Pulse, Hidden Power, Ice Beam, Blizzard, Rain Dance, Iron Tail, Earthquake, Return, Dig, Brick Break, Rock Tomb, and Secret Power. So yeah, honestly, today we are going to be dealing with some very great Pokemon, and Sapphire is generally the easier game compared to Emerald, except for a couple of points. But we'll get to those points when we get there. So now let's go into the actual run itself, starting with Sceptile, and then we'll move to Blaziken, then to Swampert, and then we'll go from there. As per usual in my Pokemon Sapphire runs, the time starts upon loading the save file after I edited my starter, cause unlike the first two generations, I can't use GameHook to give myself perfect stats at the start, because Gen 3 has a bunch of safe check measures in place, where if it detects that the Pokemon is being tampered with, like via cheating with Game Shark or something, it'll turn the Pokemon into a bad egg. So in order to get around that, I have to save the game at my first available opportunity after obtaining my starter, and then use PK Hex to give myself my perfect stats. I can also give myself my nature and ability of choice. Our nature that we're going with is the Brave Nature. This gives us plus attack and minus speed. Because Sceptile needs all the attack it can get, it really doesn't need special attack, and it really doesn't need speed either, so it can get away with losing 10% of its speed. Also, our hidden power type will be a surprise, so be sure to put down in the comments which one you think it is. And then while here, I need to catch some HM users. The first HM user I catch is a Zigzagoon. This will be my Cut and Surf users. This thing also has the ability Pickup, which can be used to pick up helpful items for you. However, I'm not going to utilize this at all because in my Generation 3, 4, and 5 rules, I am not allowed to use the ability Pickup unless it's on my main Pokemon. Because in Ruby, Sapphire, Fire Red, and Leaf Green, the Pickup ability has a 10% chance of giving a rare candy after a battle. And yes, it only has a 10% chance to even pick something up in the first place. That's still a lot of extra luck I do not want to rely upon. I don't want some Pokemon to get better times just because they picked up a rare candy. The next HM user I catch is a Tailo for my Fly user. There's also Wingull on this route too, that can also count as a Fly user, but I just happened to find a Tailo first. I then go through the rest of the route and through the entire forest, defeating any optional trainers I can, and then once I emerge from the other side, there are some berry patches right here, so I grab 2 cherry berries. This will help with recovering paralysis. These are mostly going to be helpful for Watson. Also check this out. I'm fighting the Lady Cindy right here, and the Rich Boy and the Lady Trainer classes, they have all of their Pokemon hold nuggets. Just for no reason, you know? If I had the move Thief, I would actually just steal that for money. But I don't really know many Pokemon that naturally learn Thief at a low level, so that's not really going to help right now. There's another set of berry patches just south of Rustboro City. There are 2 more cherry berries and 2 Leppa berries. Leppa berries are pretty much the renewable ethers, so I will grab these too. When I arrive in Rustboro City, I enter the Pokemon Mart just to buy 1 Repel, because when I go right of Rustboro to Route 115, there is a Repel you can pick up for free, and you only need 1 extra Repel because it takes 1 Repel to get to the cave, 1 Repel to get back, so I only needed to buy 1. And then I get the HM for Cut in this house right here. I have to remember to do this right away. In Generation 3, I have a very hard time remembering to get Cut. And then normally, if I need training for Roxanne, I can go to Route 115 to the east of Rustboro to train on the trainers there. If I have to do the training, I'd buy 2 Repels, but I don't need to. I just take on Roxanne's gym trainers and then take on the gym leader herself. In this game, she only has a single Geodude and a Nose Pass. In Emerald, she has a second Geodude. But that doesn't matter. Sceptile takes out her entire team quite easily as soon as the Nose Pass quits healing all the time, and Sceptile beats Roxanne with a final time of 8 minutes and 39 seconds. That is not a bad Roxanne split, so let's see how the other two starters do. With Blaziken, I do pretty much the same exact stuff as Sceptile all the way up until I get the HM for cut. At this point, Sceptile went straight to the gym, but I'm not going to do that with Blaziken because even though I'm only neutral to rock moves due to my fighting type, Ember is not going to be enough. I want the move Double Kick, but I don't get that move until level 16. Luckily, since all the starters are in the medium slow experience group, which is actually the fastest in the early game up until level 30 or so, I can take on all the trainers to the east of Rustboro City, and then when I defeat the very last trainer, I get exactly to level 16. That was actually very good because this was the very last trainer possible I could have taken on. Although there is one fisherman south of Rustboro who has only Magikarp, his Pokemon only give like 12 XP, it is not worth fighting him. And then once I get level 16, I can teach Double Kick, take out Roxanne's gym trainers, and then take out Roxanne herself and get a final time of 9 minutes and 10 seconds. Alright, now we've just got Swampert. With Swampert, since I have a water type move for Water Gun, which does super effective damage against Roxanne's Pokemon just like Absorb did with Sceptile, I do 100% the same stuff as Sceptile. I go all the way to Rustboro City, heal at the center, and then I go straight to the gym. I take out Roxanne's gym trainers, and then I take out Roxanne herself. Honestly, a bit easier than Sceptile did since Water Gun is 40 base power, while Absorb was only 20. And then I defeat Roxanne with a split time of 7 minutes and 35 seconds. Honestly, everybody's actually kinda close in these splits. Swampert is actually a bit faster than Sceptile right now, but that's mainly because Absorb is not as good as Water Gun, and Blaziken's in last place because it had to train for Double Kick. But however, this is still very early on, so the next chapter of this Sapphire playthrough will consist of me delivering the letter to Steven Stone, fighting Brawly if I want to, and then I defeat Watson. And since Watson is a very hard gym leader on his own, this is a chapter I like to call Chapter 2, Watson. How about for a change of pace, instead of going to Sceptile and talking about the next section of the game, let's stick to our first place contender Swampert. I take out all the mandatory and optional trainers on the route east of Rustboro because in Pokemon Sapphire, there are not as many optional trainers as there are in Emerald, so if you struggle with Watson, it's a lot harder to come across experience. Plus these trainers are very quick to take out, so I just take them out real quickly. And then I defeat the Aqua Runt right here, rescue Pico the Wingull, and then I can go back to Rustboro City and talk to the Devon Corps president. This guy gives me a letter to deliver to Steven Stone. And then before I leave Rustboro, I go to the Pokemon Mart. This is when I like to buy all my items. I'll buy some potions, antidotes, paralyzed heals, and I'll also buy some repels too. This mart actually sells super potions, so I think out of all the games I do, this is probably the earliest you're able to buy these things, because you cannot buy super potions in Brock City, Pewter City, you can't buy super repels in Violet, you can't buy super repels in Orberg, at least until you get the badge, so I think this is the earliest you're able to buy super potions. And then once I do all the shopping, I go back down to Route 104, enter Bryony's cottage, and take a boat down to Dewford. But before I do anything, I have to enter the Granite Cave and deliver the letter to Steven. At the beginning of the cave, there's this escape rope right here. I used to use this to escape Granite Cave, but now I actually save it for later, because one repel will pretty much last me all the way till Steven, and then when I deliver the letter, I need to catch a strength user. There are Geodude, Makuhita, and Aeron in this cave, so there's a lot of options. So I pretty much just run back to near the entrance of the cave, and then I catch the first HM user I can, and in that case it's Makuhita. And honestly, I was quite surprised to catch this. Swampert could not use an attack to weaken it just because I was so powerful. But then once I catch my HM users, I go into this house right here to get the Silk Scarf. This is an item that boosts the power of normal type moves by 10%. And then I can choose to either do Brawly or delay him till later. But I honestly am not going to struggle with Brawly at all, so I fight him now. One difference I can tell you between the Ruby Sapphire version of this gym and the Emerald version is that the Sapphire version has 1 mandatory trainer, while Emerald has 0. Anyway, on Brawly, he sends out his Machop, Mudshot does over half, it goes for bulk up, raising its defense, so I switch to Water Gun, but unfortunately it lives, and then I'm just continually spamming just whatever moves I can, hoping to get the guaranteed kill without it using a potion. But unfortunately, I keep getting bad ranges, and then the Machop quickly takes me out with Karate Chop. That is my very first reset of the video. In the second attempt, I used a Lepa Berry on Water Gun to heal some of the power points. I think I pretty much lost that battle because I ran out of Water Gun. And then on the second try, I eventually knock out the Machop, and then on the Makuhita, I attack it for over half, and then a second Water Gun takes it out. And as my reward for beating this gym is the TM for Bulk Up. Swampert cannot learn this move though. I pretty much just did the gym cause I can, because backtracking here does cost time. If you're able to defeat Brawly now, you just do it. And then after I beat Brawly, I have to set sail to Route 109 south of Slaveport City. There are a few optional trainers here too, so I take them all out, and then while I'm training, I talk to this little tuber girl right here who gives you a soft sand. This will boost the power of ground type moves by 10%. This will come very helpful to Swampert obviously. And then after I defeat all the trainers in the Soda House, this guy gives me 6 Soda Pop. Soda Pop heals 70 HP, I believe. They heal quite a lot of HP, and you pretty much get these healing items for free, so just take them. And then I go north to Slaveport City. I have to rescue Devin from Team Aqua Grunts, and then once I take them out, I deliver the parts to him, and then I can move on from this city. But before I move on from the city, I go to the Pokemon Mart here to buy extra Paralyze heals, because the next route, Route 110, has a lot of trainers whose Pokemon can paralyze you. The Plusle and Minun on this one Pokefan have Thunder Wave. While yes, I am immune to it, there's another trainer here with Roselia who has Stun Spore. So yeah, I'm not safe from paralysis. I don't want to use my Cherry Berries because I want to save those for Watson, so that's why I buy Paralyze heals. Although now that I think about it, you only ever need 1 Cherry Berry for Watson anyway, because you can only hold 1 berry at a time. So I honestly could have just gotten away with using some Cherry Berries, because I had 4 of them before I've even beaten Roxanne. And then while I'm also grinding on trainers on this route, I take on the entire left side of the route, which goes all the way into Route 102. This is the route that's near the beginning of the game, but this route is divided in half by water. I like to go into this trick house right here in order to complete the first maze, and you get a rare candy as a reward. But unfortunately, I realized I forgot to get the HM for Cut. I got it for Blaziken and Sceptile, but I just forgot it for Swampert. So yeah, I'm gonna have to backtrack here later. And then after I defeat the last trainer here, I can take on Rival 2. Brendan starts off with a Wailmer, and the first thing I do is go for Water Gun for some reason. Then on the second turn I use Mudshot, and I eventually take it out. Now for the Shroomish, it resists everything I have but Tackle, so I pretty much just spam Tackle on him, but unfortunately the Shroomish gets off not only a Stun Spore, but also a Leech Seed, so that's an early reset. On the second attempt, while I don't get Leech Seeded, I get Stun Spored and I just get hit with so many Mega Drains. And then on the third attempt, I realized this should be one of the battles I use a Cherry Berry on, because while most Pokemon don't struggle with the Shroomish, Swampert with its 4 times Grass weakness certainly will. On the Shroomish, I go for Tackle doing a third, the Cherry Berry heals my Stun Spore, it goes for Stun Spore again followed by Leech Seed, I'm paralyzed and I can't move, I get hit with Mega Drain, and then my Tackle isn't doing enough damage and I get quickly knocked out. You know, if I didn't get paralyzed that one turn, I would have been able to knock it out in time. Back to the Shroomish again, I go for Tackle, getting a very low roll and it only does a quarter, but the reason for the low roll is because the Wailmer hit me with Growl. But this time, luckily the Effect Spore actually got off on me, so I actually get poisoned instead of paralyzed, but the Leech Seed still knocks me out. I realized this level just wasn't gonna cut it, so I grind one level to level 25, which is over a damage rounding threshold, so maybe this will give me just enough extra damage in order to take out Brendan. So back to the Shroomish, I get hit with Stun Spore, Cherry Berry heals it, I get paralyzed again, hit with Mega Drain, I go for Tackle, and it actually knocks out. Now on the Combuskin, this thing is weak to water moves, so I really don't have to worry about it, but holy cow, this was not an easy rival fight. Hopefully the others have an easier time. I take out all the optional trainers on this route too, and I end up in Mauville City. I get the HM for Rock Smash, get the Acro Bike for later. The Acro Bike I use to not only get around the overworld faster, but I also have to use it to get a rare candy. As of lately, I've been trying to use the Mach Bike more just because it is easier to control and it goes faster, but it really doesn't matter, I have to switch bikes anyway. And then I defeat Wally in front of the gym very easily. And at this point, if any Pokemon struggles with Watson, there's a route to the north of Mauville, to the east, and to the west, full of trainers. But let me just tell you, Swampert is not going to need any of that training. Due to my Park ground typing, I am immune to electric moves. So let's check out this Watson battle. He leads with a Magnemite, which is 4 times weak to ground, so one Mud Shot just destroys a whole family of them. And then on the Voltorb, Mud Shot is a one-shot, get it? And then on the Magneton, Mud Shot does the easy one-shot, and I defeat Watson with a time of 25 minutes and 38 seconds. But let's check out how the other two do. Let's start with our last place contender, Blaziken. With Blaziken, when I'm in the Granite Cave, when I catch a Strength user, my Strength user is also Makuhita. So that's 2 in a row for Makuhita. And then after I deliver the letter to Steven Stone, I actually do battle Brawly, but not because I can, it's because I want to. I want the TM that Brawly gives, because Blaziken is the only one of the group that can learn Bulk Up, so I'm gonna want this overpowered setup move. Blaziken though is going to have an easier time here than Swampert did, because Blaziken gets the super effective move Peck, so this will be doing a lot of damage to his Pokemon. Plus if his Pokemon try to use Bulk Up to boost their defense, I can just use Ember to ignore those boosts. And then once I get the Knuckle Badge and get Bulk Up, I teach the move over Peck. And then once I arrive in Slateport City, I actually do not fight the optional trainers here like Swampert did, because Blaziken really does not need that training, because Blaziken is also going to have a type advantage at Watson's gym too. But before I talk about that, Blaziken, unlike Swampert, can actually get the rare candy from the Trick House since I actually remember to get cut. So I get the rare candy here, skip the optional trainers here, and just go straight to Rival 2. Since all of the starters will always face the Fire type team, the only Pokemon he has with a type advantage is the Wailmer. But the Wailmer is honestly stupid, plus the AI is just stupid as well, because it could just go for Splash. So on the Wailmer, I use Double Kick, barely getting the knockout, and unfortunately it uses a Growl. I would have rather it used Water Gun, but oh well. And on the Combuskin, I accidentally misclicked and go for Ember, and then I realized I have Double Kick, so I need to start using that, and then I knock out the Combuskin easily, and then on the Shroomish, Ember just gets the one-shot thanks to a critical hit. I defeat the optional trainers on this route too, get Rock Smash, get the bike, defeat Wally quite easily, and then I go inside the gym and take on Watson. On his Magnemite, I have 2 moves that'll do super effective damage, Ember and Double Kick. I use Bulk Up on the Magnemite, and then it uses Thunder Wave, but that's why I equipped the Cherry Berry. So now I have a +1 in attack and defense. So Double Kick one-shots the Magnemite, the Voltorb, and it one-shots the Magneton, and Blaziken gets a Watson split of 22 minutes and 7 seconds. With Sceptile, I actually go back down to Route 104, I talk to this guy right here, and I get the TM for Bullet Seed. This is going to be a much better grass type move than Absorb because it can hit multiple times, plus this move has a lot of power points too. I also have Fury Cutter taught to Sceptile over Pound. I probably should not have done this now that I think about it, but I was thinking like this might come in handy, I may as well just get it. And then after rescuing Pico, I'm on my way down to the cottage to go set sail to Dewford Town. I talked to this one girl right here in the Petalburg Woods. You need Cut in order to get to her. She gives the Miracle Seed. This will give a 10% boost to all grass type moves, so I equip this item right away. And after delivering the letter to Steven Stone, who will Sceptile's strength user be? We've got 2 Makuhitas in this video, can we get something different? Nope, it's going to be Makuhita again, so 3 for 3. And then Sceptile actually also chooses to fight Brawly too, just because I'm not going to struggle with Brawly at all. So at least the Watson splits will be comparable because every one of them did not skip Brawly for later. But while I'm in here though, I actually do fight all of the optional trainers. Sceptile is going to have the hardest time with Watson, so I need to defeat every trainer possible. On Brawly, I use Absorb to deal a third, and then I take out the Machop with Bullet Seed. This is one of the main reasons I got Bullet Seed, because just it can hit so many times potentially. And then on Makuhita, I go for Absorb, and then Bullet Seed gets a 3 hit, with one of them being a crit, and then I defeat Brawly, honestly the easiest compared to everyone else thanks to Bullet Seed. I defeat all the optional trainers south of Slateport City, return the parts to Captain Stern, and then after I defeat every optional trainer before Rival 2, including the Trick House to get the rare candy, I take his team on at level 25. On the Whalmer, I go for Bullet Seed, which unfortunately does not get the one-shot because it only hit twice, but that's fine, it just went for Splash. And then I level up to level 26, now for Combustion. I go for Quick Attack doing a third, it wastes its time going for Focus Energy, and Quick Attack is able to do the 3-shot. Now for Shroomish, I use Quick Attack for half, Stun Spore paralyzes me, but I just keep going for Quick Attack and I eventually win the fight. So artificially, Sceptile is going to have the longest Watson split just because I have to do all of the training. I have to go to the east of Mauville, I have to go north to fight the Windstraits in the Windstrait House, and then I fight everybody to the left of Mauville towards Verndorf Town. After I do all the training, I get Sceptile to level 30, and now I have the move Leaf Blade over Absorb. This is going to be my main way of dealing with Watson. Even though the Steel type is resisted by grass moves, this is just going to be my best shot of defeating it, plus Leaf Blade has an increased crit chance too. Unfortunately, this isn't Gen 1 with the guaranteed crits, but it'll still suffice. I've done so much training that by the time I get to Watson, I am level 32, which is way higher than the others. I have a Cherry Berry equipped too for the Magnemite because I will not be able to one-shot it. Then on the Magneton, Leaf Blade does slightly less than half, I get hit with Thunder Wave, then Sonic Boom, I'm paralyzed, Supersonic misses, I hit Leaf Blade, it goes for a Super Potion, I'm still paralyzed, and then I go for Leaf Blade again, Shockwave does very little damage, I'm still paralyzed, and Leaf Blade gets a critical hit at the last minute, I level up to level 33, and I get a Watson split of 32 minutes and 42 seconds. Yeah, these are honestly really inflated splits for Sceptile just because of all the training. I'm not so sure at this point Sceptile could win, but you never know. The Grass type generally does pretty well in Sapphire playthroughs, because there's really not many dominant Fire type trainers except for Flannery, but right now Blaziken is in the lead by around 3 minutes compared to Swampert. I think if Swampert didn't struggle on Rival 2 so bad, it would have remained in the lead, but I'm sure it can catch up. The next chapter we're going to be going over will consist of Flannery, Brawly if anybody skipped him, which nobody did, Norman, and then we're going to end things off with Winona. This is the chapter I like to call Chapter 3, The Mid-Game. Back to our first place contender, we're going to see how Blaziken does with this part of the game. After Watson is when a bunch of Pokemon get very good move upgrades. The one that almost everybody gets, I talk to this guy right here and get the TM for Secret Power. And I teach this move over Scratch. Secret Power is a 70 base power normal type move, and on normal terrain, it has a 30% chance to paralyze. Normal terrain's pretty much like the grassy overworld. If you're in a cave though, it turns into a flinch chance, and I think in other places it can give status conditions, but for the most part it's just paralysis. But that's not the main reason I get Secret Power, it's literally just for the power upgrade from Scratch. And I make it through all the routes and arrive at Falabar Town. When I come here, this is when I sell a bunch of stuff to buy more stuff. This is where I like to buy my Super Repels to last for the entire game. I usually buy like 30 to 40 Super Repels, and today I buy 31 of them. I also buy some Super Potions too. And then I can go through the following routes to get to Meteor Falls, where I have an encounter with Team Aqua and Team Magma, and then at this point I need to go back and take on Flannery. So the quickest way there is actually to go south towards Rustboro City and then I can go through the Rustboro Tunnel, smash these rocks right here, and then this guy will give me the HM for strength, and then I can go through Verdendorf Town back to Mauville City, and then I can go back up to the cable car. I know in Pokemon Emerald there's a 1 in 64 chance you can find a hiker when you climb the gondola, so I'm not sure if it's in Sapphire version as well, but we unfortunately don't get it today, so now let's just take on the boss of Team Aqua, Archie. The main reason I choose to play Pokemon Sapphire is just because in Pokemon Emerald, Archie really doesn't get enough representation because you only fight him 1 time while you fight Maxie 3 times, so that's why. But it doesn't really matter, their teams are very similar. He leads off with Mighty Yenna, which is an easy one-shot with double kick since it's a dark type, and then I misclick and go for double kick on Golbat, and then I get confused with Supersonic. I hit Secret Power, and then Wing Attack does a critical hit on me, just completely destroying me. On the second attempt, I don't make that mistake, I go for Secret Power on Golbat, and since we're on rocky terrain, it actually confuses the Golbat, and it's not able to attack me, and I just keep spamming Secret Power until I knock it out. But even though I'm not doing enough damage to get good ranges, at least the Wing Attack isn't getting crits on me. I take out the Golbat with 4 HP to spare, and then his final Pokemon is Sharpedo. I go for Double Kick, which would have one-shot it, but since I was at such low HP, Rough Skin actually knocks me out from the Double Kick. Yeah, that was quite bad. On the third try though, I am actually able to win. So I guess in some parts, Archie can be difficult, especially with Sharpedo's Rough Skin, because if you're at low health after the Golbat, the Sharpedo's Rough Skin will just destroy you if you're using contact moves. And then I can go down the Jagged Pass and arrive in Lava Ridge Town, where I take on the gym leader, Flannery. She only has 2 Slugma and a Torkoal. On her first Slugma, I use Secret Power, which almost gets the one-shot, and then I get hit with Smog and I get poisoned. So when the Slugma uses a Hyper Potion to heal from that, I use 1 Bulk Up, and then I can knock out her first 2 Slugma in 1 shot. Now for the Torkoal. I go for Secret Power, doing a third. Body Slam can't paralyze me because I'm poisoned. The Torkoal goes for Flail, which does not kill me, but the poison damage does. So yeah, hopefully I don't get poisoned on the next attempt. On the next attempt, I go for Bulk Up right away on the Slugma. Smog misses. I misclick and go for it a second time, and then the Slugma just sets up Sunny Day. And then when I get back to the Torkoal, Secret Power actually does half, so it's a good thing I used the second one. And then I defeat Flannery to get the Heat Badge. We still have a couple more gym leaders to go though. At this point, I can go from Lava Ridge Town straight back to Petalburg to take on Norman, but there's a few things I can get in between that. Brendan gives me the Go Goggles, which allow me to go through Route 111, the Sandstorm part of the route, and in this route, I can get a rare candy. And then as I'm going south, I end up back in Slateport City, and before I talk to Bryony to set sail back to Petalburg, I actually go in this little market area right here. This guy, after you obtain the Secret Power TM, you can buy more Secret Powers, but more importantly, I'm here for Hidden Power. If you want to guess what Hidden Power Blaziken has, be sure to guess in the comments. I will tell you what it is when we use it. And then right next door, I can buy some vitamins. And for Blaziken, today's Vitamin of the Day is Carbos. Blaziken has really good attack and special attack, but not as good speed as everyone else, so I want all the speed I can get. And then I set sail back to Petalburg City and take on the normal type gym leader, Norman. In Pokemon Sapphire compared to Emerald, I'd say Norman is the only one who is harder in Sapphire than in Emerald because he has 2 slacking instead of 1. On his first one, I just set up Bulk Up. It does have Yawn, which I hope it never hits me with, but luckily every other turn it just loaves around, so after I get to +4, a Double Kick knocks it out. And then Double Kick one-shots the Vigoroth, and then on his second slacking, it has Focus Punch, but that doesn't matter because I'm able to one-shot it and take out Norman. So the reason that Focus Punch is dangerous, if his first slacking yawns you and he sends out his second one, it can actually use Focus Punch and completely destroy you. So after I defeat Norman, this is when I'm able to use Surf outside of battle. So there are a few rare candies I'd like to get. I get these rare candies with pretty much every Pokemon I do, so I'm only going to say it once. I teach Surf to my Zigzagoon and get this rare candy right here in Petalburg City. And then once I arrive back in Slayport, I actually go down all the way to Route 108 and I surf onto this small piece of land right here to get another rare candy. I think I should really work on routing this in a bit better. I really should not get that rare candy until I get Fly, because having to surf back up takes a bit of time, but I'll figure something out. And then back at Route 110, the same route where I did the trick house, I can actually go to this small island and get another rare candy. And then once I get back up in Mauville City, I accidentally encounter this trainer right here who climbs up a ledge to get to me. So that's something. And then I can surf across the water to the eastern part of the route where I can go through the long jungle route to Fort Tree City. Before I go though, there are these two berry patches with citrus berries. These only heal a flat 30 HP, but they can help in an emergency, so I just grabbed 2. Oh, and get this, I accidentally encountered an optional trainer, Pokemon Ranger Jackson. I used Secret Power on his Breloom, and it goes for counter, and then he goes for Mach Punch, defeating me. I did not save before this guy, because he's just a random trainer with only one Pokemon, so I actually have to black out and teleport all the way back to Petalburg City. Oh man, that is a huge waste of time. Oh man. I get back here in no time though, it only takes like a minute and a half or so, and I arrive at the Weather Institute, chase off Team Aqua, get a stupid cast form, which I immediately deposit in the PC. The reason I always deposit the cast form, because in my rules for doing double battles, when I have to send out a second Pokemon, the only thing I'm allowed to do is raise my own stats or damage my main Pokemon. So like, I can't do anything that affects the field of battle. Like, I can't use Growl or Tail Whip on the opponent, I can't use Rain Dance to give my main Pokemon a potential advantage, or the opponent's a disadvantage. Those are the moves I'm not allowed to use. But Cast Form only has those kinds of moves. It has Powder Snow, which hits both opponents, and it has a bunch of the weather moves. So I actually cannot use this in double battles in accordance with my rules, so I immediately deposit it. And then after I clear out the Weather Institute, I defeat the Rival 3 battle. This rival battle is way easier than Rival 2 was back before Mauville City, so I'm pretty much never going to go over this guy, unless he actually provides a reset somehow. And then I can arrive in Fort Tree City. Before I take on the gym, I cut this tree right here to get access to another rare candy, and then on the bridge I talk to Steven Stone, run away from the Kecleon like a bitch, and then I get the Devon Scope as a reward. This'll unblock the way to the Fort Tree City gym, where I can take on the gym leader, Winona. Winona, in my opinion, is the same difficulty as she is in Emerald version, because she has mostly the same team. She leads off with her Swellow, who goes for double team right away. It outspeeds me by 2 points, so I'm not able to go first. I set up 2 bulk ups, and then I try and land a double kick. Luckily I do, skipping those double teams. Next up is the Skarmory. I have the move Blaze Kick taught over Ember, so while it is slightly inaccurate, it's way more powerful, so I teach it. And then on the Pelipper, I go for Secret Power. It stalls with Protect, wasting my only Secret Power, so I have to knock it out with Double Kick instead. But luckily the first set of Double Kick does more than half, so I can take it out easily. Now for the Altaria. I gotta be careful, this Altaria has Earthquake, Double Kick does over half thanks to a crit, and at this point, the second Double Kick should knock it out, which it does, and I defeat Winona with a split time of 50 minutes and 13 seconds. That is really not that bad of a split. I did have a few resets here and there, but overall pretty good. So now let's take a look at our last place contender, Sceptile. Just like with Blaziken, Sceptile also gets the TM for Secret Power as an upgrade to Quick Attack. And then after that, everything is pretty much the same up until the top of Mount Chimney with Archie. I don't believe Sceptile's gonna struggle here because Sceptile also has a type advantage against his Sharpedo, but let's see. On his Mightyena, on turn 1 I go for Leaf Blade, which is a special move so it ignores the Intimidate. Then on the Golbat, I use Secret Power, doing slightly less than half. But luckily I get a Confusion, it hits itself and I knock it out. And then the Sharpedo, I misclick and go for Secret Power a bunch of times. But then I realize what I'm doing, and I just continue to spam Secret Power anyway, just because why not? And I defeat his whole team in one shot, so yeah, I just completely destroyed his ass. Before I leave, I also get the Meteorite here too. This will be the key to getting the TM for Return. I did not get it with Blaziken because Blaziken does not need Return. Let's see how Sceptile handles Flannery though. Luckily, I one-shot her 2 Slugma with Secret Power. Secret Power does less than a third or so on Torkoal. Luckily, I get a Paralysis, and it just generally never really goes for Overheat that much. It only goes for it one time, doing 2/3 of my HP, but it never goes for it again, and I actually defeat Flannery on the first try. So yeah, that's impressive. I also went back to get the return TM, which I taught over Secret Power, and then back in Slateport City, today's vitamin of the day is 5 calcium. I actually did have a protein and a carbos in my bag, but I actually sold those because I do not need those vitamins. I'm going to be relying very much on special moves throughout the rest of the game, so I need all of the special attack possible. Also, this is no longer Generations 1 and 2. Calcium only boosts special attack. The special defense vitamin is the zinc, but almost no one really needs zinc. So then after I get the vitamins, as well as hidden power, don't forget, guess in the comments, I take on the gym leader Norman. On his first slacking, I go for Leaf Blade, doing over half. It hits me with Facade, leaving me at 6 HP since I forgot to heal like an idiot. But luckily, being this low in health activates the Overgrow ability. Overgrow gives me a 50% damage boost to all my grass moves, but unfortunately that's not enough for the slacking and I get knocked out. On the second attempt, when I actually remember to heal, I actually knock out his Pokemon quite easily. So yeah, I need to start remembering to heal. I get the Surf HM, get all the same rare candies Blaziken did, and then eventually I clear out the Weather Institute and arrive in Fortree City. I help Steven Stone with the Kecleon, and then I enter the gym to take on Winona. This is when I actually teach hidden power, so this is your last minute time to guess. I knock out the Swellow in one hit, and then on the Pelipper, I knock it out with 2 returns. And then on the Skarmory, I use return as a misclick, it hits me with Aerial Ace, and then I go for hidden power, knocking it out. Sceptile's hidden power is hidden power fire. It's not just for the Skarmory, it's mainly to deal with Steven Stone, because aside from hidden power fire, I really do not have an answer for his steel types. And then I can knock out Winona's Altaria, and get a mid-game split of 58 minutes and 55 seconds. Alright, now for Swampert's turn. Funny thing is, after I just left Mauville City, I end up fighting this optional trainer who has a Shroomish, hits me with Stun Spore, it continually uses Leech Seed and Mega Drain, and it completely destroys me, and I end up back in front of Watson. So yeah, I have to fight Watson a second time. That's just great. I get Secret Power for Swampert as well. Make it all the way to Falabar Town, buy my usual Super Potions and Super Repels, and while here, the other 2 could not learn this move. I talked to this one guy right here in the Fossil Maniac's house, and I get the TM for Dig. This is a 60 base power ground type move. It's obviously way better than Mud Shot, mostly because it actually is 100% accurate and it has more base power. While Dig is over the course of 2 turns, it's mainly the accuracy I like about it better. When I arrive back in Rustboro City after going south from Meteor Falls, I go get the Cut HM, which I forgot earlier, then I get the HM for Strength, and I arrive at the top of Mount Chimney to take on Archie. On his Mighty Yenna, the Intimidate is more of a big deal because I mostly rely on physical moves, so the Secret Power is actually going to be a 3-hit on the Mighty Yenna instead of a 2-hit like the others. And then I take out the Golbat quite easily, with a combination of Secret Power and Water Gun. And then on the Sharpedo, I use 1 Secret Power to do around half. For some reason, Secret Power does not make contact, so it actually does not activate Rough Skin from the Sharpedo, and I don't take Rough Skin damage. So yeah, that's interesting. Contact moves are just really confusing in this game, because not all physical moves make contact, some special moves do, like Bite. So it's honestly really weird. I don't need to talk about Flannery, do I? With Water Gun and Dig, she's just a complete joke with Swampert. With Swampert, I also get the TM for Return as well from Professor Cosmo. And then when I'm on my way south back to Slateport City to take the boat, I go in the Trick House to get the rare candy I could not get earlier. And my vitamin of the day is the same as Sceptile's, which is calcium. And now I can take on Norman. On his first slacking, I go for Secret Power, doing only a quarter. Facade does decent damage. Water Gun's actually doing more damage for some reason, so I actually just go for that. And then I just realize, wait a minute, I'm facing a slacking. I can just cheese the whole thing with Dig, because I can just Dig when it's attacking, and when I'm above ground, it's loafing around. On the first attempt though, I really do not get the timing well, and I end up getting to near red health by the time I get to the Vigoroth, and it slash knocks me out. When I re-enter the battle, as you can see, I actually equipped an Oran Berry because I get the feeling I'm going to need a tiny bit amount of extra health. And then I get to the Vigoroth with green health, I take it out with 3 hits, it activates my Oran Berry, and now for the second slacking. I use Dig right away. As you can see, it's tightening its focus, it missed Focus Punch, I come up and it's loafing around. This is what I actually want. And then when I get the HM for Surf, I actually do teach this to Swampert. Even though it utilizes my lower special attack, I'm still going to want the extra damage it has compared to Water Gun. I also teach Hidden Power at the same time as well. I even teach Return too, so I just get a complete moveset overhaul. And then when I clear out the Weather Institute, this cast form isn't completely useless. It comes holding a Mystic Water to boost water type moves by 10%, so I take it, give it to Swampert, and then deposit the cast form forever. And then I defeat Rival 3 very easily, help out Steven Stone with a Kecleon, and take on Winona. On the Swellow, it outspeeds and goes for Double Team, and 1 Hidden Power knocks it out. Swampert's Hidden Power is Hidden Power Ice. I know it does learn Ice Beam, but the main reason I want it is because Ice Beam you have to go really out of the way to get. It's all the way at the abandoned ship near Route 108 where that rare candy was. Maybe I could have gotten it when I was there, but you have to go through like a bunch of extra rooms, find a room key, then get the Ice Beam TM. Like, it's just really out of the way. I don't need the extra power that comes with it because Hidden Power is 70 compared to Ice Beam's 95. So Hidden Power Ice will do just fine. And then I take out Winona's team with a time of 53 minutes and 31 seconds. It looks like through this split, the leads are honestly remaining pretty consistent. Blaziken is still in the lead by around 3 minutes compared to Swampert, and Sceptile is around 5 minutes behind Swampert. But still, anything can happen. Hopefully things start changing around, because in the last video when we did the Johto Beasts, spoiler alert, there actually was a lot of changing positions among the 3 Pokemon, so it made it really exciting to work on. So in this chapter, we're going to be going over Tate and Liza, finishing off Team Aqua, and then we'll be taking out the 8th Gym Leader Wallace just before Victory Road. We'll basically be doing the rest of the game before the final 5 trainers. So this is the chapter I like to call Chapter 4, The Late Game. You know, since we've already started going over splits with Swampert and Blaziken, why don't we go back to Sceptile and see how he does through the late game. I get the rare candy here behind the trees. I go through the rainy routes right here. There's actually another rare candy on this route. It's right behind this pond right here. And then when I head on over to the east to the next route, Route 121, there's actually a berry patch here with some useful berries. There's some Persim and Chesto berries. Chesto berries help with sleep, Persim berries help with confusion. So this is going to be a really good area to get some berries. I take out all the optional trainers towards Lily Cove City because, let me just say it right now, Sceptile is going to need the highest level among the 3 to deal with Steven Stone. Because while Swampert's got powerful water and ground moves, Blaziken has fire and fighting moves, grass types aren't exactly the best to deal with Steven, so I'm going to need a ton of extra levels compared to them. But hopefully it won't take that long. And then when I arrive in Lily Cove City, I heal at the center, and then immediately go enter the route again. The main reason I like to go into Lily Cove City first is because you want to set Lily Cove City as a fly point so you can enter the Aqua Hideout later. And then before I go into Mount Pyre, I go south here to Route 123 and get a rare candy. There's also a girl here you can get the TM for Giga Drain if you have a grass type in your party, which Sceptile obviously is, but Leaf Blade is 70 power with an increased crit chance. It really does not need Giga Drain. Although it would have been good as a backup, so it wouldn't have been a big deal to get, but whatever. And then on top of Mount Pyre, I chase off the Team Aqua Grunts, get another rare candy, and then I have to fly to Slateport City, watch them take the submarine, and now I can fly back to Lily Cove City and enter the Team Aqua hideout. Before I do that though, I go in this house right here in Lily Cove to get the backup TM for Rest. And then fun fact, I learned this from one of Scott's videos, there's actually a hidden PP up in that rock right there. I pick it up and immediately use it on return. And then while I'm doing the Team Aqua hideout, I actually get the Master Ball that's in here because there's still one more HM user I need to get, and that's a Tentacool for Waterfall and Dive. I mean, I could just buy extra Pokeballs, but I don't want to deal with having to damage things, having them break out, so I just spend the extra 20 seconds just getting the Master Ball. And also, I'm so desperate for levels, I actually fight these Electrode that are guarding the Master Ball, so that's funny. And then I clear out the rest of the Team Aqua hideout by defeating the admin Matt, and then I surf all the way to Moss Deep City. Moss Deep City has the hardest set of gym leaders in all of Hoenn, Tate and Liza. However, Emerald gave them a really massive buff because they gave each of them 2 Pokemon in addition to more levels, plus the gym puzzle's completely different. I mean, the gym puzzle really doesn't matter in the games in the grand scheme of things, but what does matter is the fact that there's a lot less trainers. If you struggle with Tate and Liza, there are not many trainers you can train on. So that honestly kind of balances out with Emerald. While yes, you can beat Sapphire faster, if you struggle with something, there are not many trainers to grind on. While they made a lot of gym leaders harder in Emerald, they gave you a lot more trainers to grind on, especially for places like Roxanne and Watson. So after I clear out the maze, I can take on the double battle gym leaders Tate and Liza. They each only have 1 Pokemon, Lunatone and Solrock. I have Leaf Blade, which one-shots the Solrock, and will it one-shot the Lunatone as well, which is more defensive? Yes, it does. And I actually take out Tate and Liza very, very easily. I mean, even if this was Emerald, the one Pokemon they would have that'd be bad is the Xatu, but hey, we're not doing Emerald right now. That's about a week from now. We will be doing Emerald too. Luckily in Sapphire, you don't have to do the stupid Space Tower Team Magma so I can just go straight to Steven Stone's house and get the HM for Dive. And then I can teach Dive to my Tentacool, go in the underground seafloor cavern, and at the very end, I can pick up the TM for Earthquake. All 3 of the Pokemon I'm using today can learn it. I pretty much just get it as a backup just in case I need it. And then I can take on Archie for the last time. He sends out his Mighty N at level 41. It hits me with Intimidate, but luckily Leaf Blade does not take into account Intimidate because it's a special move. I don't want to learn Detect. And then on Crobat, I go for Return, doing slightly less than half. And then it uses a Super Potion. I go for Hidden Power Fire, which does roughly the same amount of damage, I'd say. But since I've already been hit with Intimidate, I just stick to Hidden Power Fire. Alright, now for the Sharpedo. Leaf Blade doesn't activate Rough Skin, does it? No, oh, yes it does. But luckily it doesn't do enough damage, and I take his team out quite easily. Then he wakes up Kyogre with the red orb, which makes Kyogre go completely haywire. So we have to go all the way to Sootopolis City, enter the Cave of Origin, and take out the Kyogre. Well, you don't have to take it out, you can just run away from it. But here's the thing, you gotta make sure you're fast enough to run away from it because Kyogre is pretty darn fast. Sceptile doesn't have to worry because its speed is very high, but let me tell you something I've learned while doing these Sapphire and Emerald playthroughs. You know how when you don't outspeed the opponent wild Pokemon, there's a 50% chance you can't flee? Well, guess what? That's your raw speed. It actually does not take into account your badge boost to your speed. Because I've had times where my overlay showed that my speed was faster, but I could not run away. Because it does take into account your badge boost, which in this game is 10%, which you get from Watson's badge. So I have to make sure I can actually run away from it, because if you can't run away, this thing has a lot of powerful moves, like Body Slam, Ice Beam, and Hydro Pump. I have actually had resets at this Kyogre before, just from not being able to run away. But luckily, like I said, I'm able to. I use an escape rope to get out of here. And then for some reason, when I get out, I fly to Moss Deep City to heal at the center instead of Sootopolis. Weird. Anyway, I can get back into Sootopolis City, solve the ice maze, and then I can take on the 8th gym leader, Wallace. Psych, I actually don't solve the ice puzzle. I purposefully failed the last one so I can fight all of the trainers down here, because Sceptile still needs more experience for Steven Stone. And this gym has a lot of trainers in it, even for Pokemon Sapphire. I think there's roughly the same amount in both Sapphire and Emerald in here. I might be wrong, but it's probably the same. And then once the trainers are defeated, I can take on Wallace for real this time. His team is pretty much the same as Juan's from Pokemon Emerald, except instead of a Kingdra, he has a Milotic, which is honestly kind of easier to deal with. The Kingdra was way harder to deal with. Wallace leads with a Love Disc, which goes down to 1 Leaf Blade. Next up is Celio, 1 Leaf Blade. Here is the Milotic. I use 1 Leaf Blade. It actually lives because Milotic has very good special defense. And then I use another Leaf Blade, it heals, and then 2 more Leaf Blades knock it out. Now on the Wish Cache, it's 4 times weak to grass, so I just murdered like 3 of these things. And then on the Sea King, I take it out with Leaf Blade, and I get all 8 gym badges. But we're not going to track the split yet. I'm going to actually end my split when we enter the Pokemon League. Before we enter the Pokemon League though, there's a few more things I need to get. I go on to Route 114 to the left of Falabar Town, climb up the waterfall and get this rare candy, and there's another thing I need to get. I go deep into Meteor Falls, getting a bit lost along the way because I've never really gotten this TM before. I actually get the TM for Dragon Claw. This is a special type move in Generation 3. This is going to be my main answer to deal with Drake in the Elite Four, since I did not use Hidden Power Ice. And then once I get Dragon Claw, I get out and go on to Route 119 to the left of Fortree City, go through this little Acro Bike maze and get this rare candy. And then I can fly back to Moss Deep City, go south and then go right, and then I can end up at this little waterfall here, which takes me to Evergrande City. I don't know why they call this a city, there's only a Pokemon Center here. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I enter Victory Road, take on the mandatory trainers, and then here's the main difference between Sapphire and Emerald. In Emerald, you have to take on Wally before you do any of the trainers, while in Sapphire, Wally stops you right before the end. So let's take on Wally. He leads off with an Altaria, and the first thing I do is go for Return, doing over half. It hits me with Aerial Ace. I forgot to heal for this fight again like an idiot, and then I eventually take out the Altaria. Then on the Roselia, it could get off a Leech Seed, but luckily it doesn't. I knock it out in one shot. Now for the Delcatty, 1 Leaf Blade takes it out. Then on the Magneton, I use Leaf Blade. It barely lives, but luckily it doesn't have Thunder Wave and just goes straight for Thunderbolt and I live. So I can take it out, and now is the Gardevoir. 1 Leaf Blade doesn't knock it out and I get a loss. You know, I really need to update my overlays to show my current HP as well. I've said that in the last couple of videos because not knowing my HP stat has actually caused resets before. And then luckily on the second attempt after healing, I can actually take out Wally and enter the Pokemon League chambers with a time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 26 seconds. But before we go over the final 5 trainers, we gotta see how the other 2 get to this point. I do pretty much the exact same stuff as Sceptile. I take out the trainers on Route 120, get the rare candy here, go to Lily Cove City to set it as a fly point, get the rare candy south of Mount Pyre, clear out Mount Pyre of Team Aqua, and then in Lily Cove City, I actually skip rest and get the PP up. I almost accidentally used it on my flyer, but luckily I didn't, and I was able to use it on my surf. And then once the hideout is cleared out, I can make it to Moss Deep City, and then I can battle Tate and Liza. I have a much better move than Leaf Blade for this fight. I have Surf. But let me tell you about how Surf works in this game. Whenever you have a move that hits both opponents in battle, but it does not hit your main Pokemon or your other Pokemon like Earthquake does, like with Surf, it actually splits the base power in half for both of them. They did this to nerf Surf in double battles, but Earthquake doesn't get this nerf because it hits your ally Pokemon as well. So Surf is pretty much doing 45 power to each of the opponents, and then you can add Stab and Mystic Water and other things to it. But I don't think that'd be a big a deal, because all that would mean is they will pretty much survive a Surf and not get destroyed by a Surf. For the Lunatone, it does less than half, and the Solrock, I actually get a lucky critical hit and destroy it in one hit. And now with the absence of the Solrock, that little split power thing with Surf does not apply, and I can actually knock out the Lunatone with 1 Surf, and take their whole team out very, very easily. I then get the HM for Dive, teach it to Tentacool, and then when I get to the Seafloor Cavern, I get Earthquake, which I teach to Swampert right away, and then I unfortunately get another reset on Archie due to getting knocked out by Rough Skin. So yeah, that was quite unfortunate. But I'm able to win on the second attempt very, very easily. And remember what I mentioned about if you're not able to run away from the Kyogre, and it doesn't take into account your badge boost? So if you look into this fight, I am not at 97 speed, I'm actually lower than that. So let's see if I'm able to run away. I actually do save here just in case. The Kyogre has 99 speed, so it's going to outspeed me. But luckily, when I'm not able to run away, it just goes for Ice Beam, and I run away on the second turn. And then I can get out of the cave, and then battle Wallace in the Centopolis Gym. I don't fight the gym trainers here, I just go straight to Wallace. I don't have a clear advantage here because I'm also a water type, But Return barely misses the KO on Love Disc. Wallace wastes his Hyper Potion, so it's a good thing he wasted it on a bad Pokemon. Then on the Wish Cache, I misclick and go for Return. And then on the next try, I go for Surf, but unfortunately it lives. Luckily, Wallace doesn't use a Hyper Potion. Then on the Celio, I do Return dealing half. Aurora Beam does not lower my attack. And then on the Sea King, I go for one Return, and then Sea King sets up the Rain. But on the Milotic though, I go for Surf, it does around a third, and unfortunately Milotic's Water Pulse knocks me out. Before attempting Wallace again, I actually do fight the gym trainers in the basement. When I make it back to the Milotic, Return does more than half. I'm at level 48 now, which is over a damage rounding threshold, and I'm actually able to beat Wallace this time, so that's good. And then I can go through Victory Road, and at the very end when I'm taking on Wally, unfortunately I get put to sleep by his Delcatty, and his Roselia earlier hit me with Leech Seed, so I just reset the fight right away. So honestly, Swampert is having a lot of resets, mostly because I'm just a few levels short on some fights. But luckily on the second battle, I can take out his team quite easily and enter the Pokemon League with a time of 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 16 seconds. Way better than Sceptile obviously. But let's see how Blaziken does now. Skipping all the way to Tate and Liza from Winona since I did pretty much the same stuff as everyone else, let's see how Blaziken takes on these two Pokemon. On the first turn, I pretty much just go for Bulk Up to try and get some setup because their Pokemon will prioritize knocking out my HM user first because it's weaker, but for some reason they both just choose to land Psychic on me instead. And then after I get a second Bulk Up in, I get knocked out quite easily, so yeah, that was pretty unlucky. I want them to knock out the HM user, not my Blaziken. On the second attempt, I instead choose to just go for Double Kick right away after a +1 setup. It does 2/3 damage to the Lunatone. My Zigzagoon gets knocked out, I send in Tailo, and then I go for Double Kick again. And then on the second turn, I misclick and go for Blaze Kick on the Lunatone instead, which does not get the one-shot obviously because it resists fire moves, and I get knocked out again. Okay, I'm purposefully making this hard on myself. It also doesn't help that I'm part fighting type, which is weak to the psychic typing. On the third attempt though, I'm actually able to get to +2 without taking any damage, and then Double Kick is so close to one-shotting the Lunatone, but it doesn't, because the Lunatone is more defensive than Solrock. And then I know Lunatone's going to use a potion, so I go for my Double Kick on the Solrock instead, and it gets such a low roll it does even less damage than it did to the Lunatone. Now that I looked at the stats, Solrock is more defensive physically, Lunatone's more defensive specially. So yeah, they're both pretty defensive, and I get knocked out again. It's not even funny, I get so many resets at this fight. It actually takes me until 11 resets into the run. I'm actually able to get to +3 setup, which is enough to knock out the Lunatone and the Solrock, and I'm finally able to win. That was not easy at all. And I was only able to do this after using 3 rare candies to get to level 48 over a damage rounding threshold, so yeah, I definitely should have been a few levels higher for this fight. Then I go in the Seafloor Cavern, defeat Archie with only 32 HP to spare. And then on the Kyogre, I'm able to run away, and then I can get out of the cave, take out all of Wallace's gym trainers, and defeat Wallace's team on the second try, mostly just due to getting bad luck with water moves on the first attempt. And then I get the rare candies that I need, and defeat Wally's team after the second try, and enter the Pokemon League with a time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 35 seconds. Okay, now things are starting to turn. Swampert has retaken the lead, and it's a very, very big lead. Despite it having nearly the same amount of resets as Blaziken, only having 4 less resets, the fact that Blaziken really struggled at Tate and Liza, while Swampert just completely destroyed them, just shows you that it was able to regain that massive lead. And I mean, in the last split, it was like 3 minutes behind Blaziken. Now, it's almost 7 to 8 minutes ahead. So that's really impressive. Sceptile is only 3 minutes behind the follow-up, which is Blaziken with a 125. So Sceptile has pretty much consistently remained 3 minutes behind for the entire run. But now we can take on the final 5 trainers and end this run. Let's do this shit. We're starting off with the first Elite 4 member, the Dark-type specialist Sydney. He leads off with Mightyena, which has Intimidate. Sceptile goes for Leaf Blade, knocking it out in 1 hit, get to level 57. And then the Absol, it barely misses the knockout, but luckily the Citrus Berry puts it out of full restore range, and it just wastes its turn going for Swords Dance. Then on Cacturn, I misclick and go for Leaf Blade, and I get hit with Cotton Spore, which halves my speed, but due to how fast I am, it's really not going to matter that much. I knock out the Cacturn with Return, and then the Sharpedo luckily misses Swagger, and then I knock it out with a Leaf Blade, and his final Pokemon is Shiftry. This thing's mainly threatening because it has Double Team and Swagger, but with Hidden Power Fire, I'm able to take it out quite easily for the win. Which is what I would say if I didn't keep missing my hidden powers and hitting myself in confusion and losing from near full HP. Okay, that was really dumb, Shiftry. Go F off. But luckily on the second battle though, I get better luck and I take out Sydney. For Sydney, I actually do have a type advantage because I resist the dark typing. I don't have any fighting type moves though because I have Earthquake on my moveset now, but Bulk Up plus Earthquake should be enough for his team. But for the Shiftry and the Cacturn, they do resist Earthquake due to being part Grass type, so that's what Blaze Kick is for. And then once I take out his Grass types, the rest of his Pokemon go down very easily with Earthquake. For Swampert, I have the moveset Return, Earthquake, Surf, and Hidden Power. Surf one-shots the Mightyena, and then Hidden Power almost one-shots the Cacturn. I used all my rare candies before this fight to get to level 62, because I need to use my rare candies now. And then on the Sharpedo, one Earthquake knocks it out, and on the Absol, I knock it out with two Surfs. It uses its Citrus Berry, and then on the Shiftry, it flinches me with Fake Out, then goes for Swagger. Luckily, I don't hit myself. Hidden Power Ice almost one-shots it. It uses a full restore. I hit myself in confusion. Shiftry's going for Double Team. I hit myself again. Extra Sensory doesn't do that much. I hit myself again. More Double Teams. I miss Hidden Power. More freaking Double Teams. I hit Hidden Power. It goes for Swagger again. I hit myself and just completely destroyed myself. Man, this Shiftry is not something to mess around with. Holy crap. On the second try though, just like with Sceptile, I am able to take it out. Next is the Ghost type Elite Four member, Phoebe. She starts off with a Dusclops. This thing has the ability Pressure, so I lose my power points twice as fast. So I gotta be careful with my PP. And then I knock out the first Dusclops with two Leaf Blades, but unfortunately on the second one, it has a pretty diverse moveset and it freezes me with Ice Beam. Even though it's not a Gen 1 freeze, it's only a 10% chance per turn to thaw, so I get frozen for way too long and I get knocked out. Plus another thing I want to mention, the first Dusclops has Curse. If it uses Curse, you gotta reset. You are not going to survive long enough to take out anything else. Because in this game, even if you knock out something in one turn, you still take Curse damage. This was unlike Generation 2, where if you knocked something out, you will not take Curse damage. Then on the Banette, I get to very low health, which activates my Overgrow, and I one-shot the Banette and the Sableye that follows, and I defeat Phoebe. With Blaziken, I start by using one Bulk Up. The Dusclops goes for Future Sight, and then Earthquake does around 2/3 of its HP. I get hit with Confuse Ray, but luckily I don't hit myself. Then on the Sableye, I take damage from Future Sight, which does typeless damage, but Dark types are still immune to it. And then I hit myself in Confusion doing huge damage. And then I'm stuck deciding what to do, and I end up going for Earthquake. Luckily, it gets a critical hit and knocks it out. I don't know if it was needed, but we'll see. And then on the Banette, I use a second Bulk Up to try and get a little bit more chip damage in. And the Banette goes for Psychic, leaving me at 8 hit points left. I knock it out in one hit with Earthquake. And then next up is the second Dusclops. It survives an Earthquake because Dusclops is very tanky, and I get a loss. On the next attempt, I get hit with Curse, so that's an immediate loss. Same with the next attempt. On the next attempt after that though, I don't get hit with Curse, so I can move on. And then eventually I make it to our last Pokemon, Banette. I use one Earthquake for the knockout, and I'm able to beat Phoebe. Let's see how Swampert deals with this trainer. I start off by using a Surf, which almost knocks out the first Dusclops. It hits me with Confuse Ray. It heals up with a full restore. I snap out of Confusion, and I knock it out. Then on the Banette, I use one Surf. It ends up living a Surf, and it uses its one turn to use Spite, so now I'm almost out of Surfs, which is honestly quite annoying. But luckily, only the Dusclops have the move Pressure, and then on the second Dusclops, I run out of Surfs, so now I've got to start using Earthquake to do more damage. But luckily though, Earthquake is effectively doing more damage because I get the same type attack bonus, and my attack stat is higher than my special attack. Next up is the third member of the Elite Four, Glacia the Ice-type Master. Her team is very not unique in Pokemon Sapphire. Hoenn in general just does not have many Ice types. On her first Glalie, Sceptile is able to knock it out, but with only half health to spare. And then on the Celio, it's part Water type, so one Leaf Blade takes it out. Same with her second Celio as well. And then I get the opportunity to learn False Swipe, but I say no because it's too overpowered. And then on the Walrein, Leaf Blade lives at like 1 hit point left. I'm not even joking, that looks like 1 hit point. So after getting that reset, I still have 11 rare candies, so now is when I use them. I don't use all of them though, just enough to get over a couple damage rounding thresholds because it should not have lived at 1 HP. And then I actually knock out the Walrein. She has one more Glalie. I use Hidden Power Fire to deal almost all of its HP. And then I go for Return to finish it off, but it uses a full restore, but Return did more than half, so just another Return did the job just fine. For Blaziken, I used some rare candies to get to level 60, not because it's a damage rounding threshold, but now I get the move Sky Uppercut. This is one of the best fighting type moves you can get in this generation, mostly since close combat does not exist until Gen 4, but this move is my key to doing super effective damage to every one of her Pokemon. Although on her second Glalie I do miss because the move's not 100% accurate, but still, everything is a one-shot, I don't need to worry with Blaziken. Alright, now for Swampert's turn. On the Glalie, I go for Earthquake, and it barely lives at like 3 HP. I went for Earthquake because Earthquake has more effective power than Return, but Earthquake knocks it out. Now for the Celio, I just keep going with Earthquake. It lives in red health, seriously, why does everything keep living at like 10 HP? It's really annoying. Second Celio lives at like probably 30 or so HP, then the second move it knocks it out. Then on the Glalie, I use Earthquake, it lives at 1 HP. Like, here's something I should have done. I really should have equipped the Soft Sand for this fight, because even though it's only a 10% boost, it would have guaranteed the knockout. Like, that's just ridiculous. I mean, the Walrein I know is always going to survive a hit. I go for an Earthquake, it heals up with a Citrus Berry back to green. I was worried the second Earthquake wouldn't have killed, but I guess I got a high roll because the second one does. So yeah, use constantly surviving hits. That was just ridiculous. Next up is the fourth Elite Four member, Drake. He uses Dragon-type Pokemon. I taught the move Dragon Claw over Fury Cutter, which I don't think I've used throughout the whole run even once, so it was just a waste of time teaching that. The Shelgon's a one-shot with Dragon Claw. The Flygon lives in red health. I had a feeling Dragon Claw wouldn't one-shot because Sceptile doesn't get the same type attack bonus from it, but this is pretty much my best move to deal with this team, since I'm not using Hidden Power Ice like Swampert is. And the good thing is about Generation 3, even though the Salamence has Intimidate, Dragon Claw is a special move, so it gets ignored by that, but unfortunately it crits me with a Fly, and I just get a loss. Before the next attempt, I use the rest of my rare candies to get to level 69, nice, and then I make it back to his Salamence. Thanks to the Sandstorm being up, it's able to do just enough chip damage so the Dragon Claw actually does knock it out. Then on the Altaria, its only attacking moves are Takedown and Dragon Breath. Like, that is just an awful learn set. And I take out Drake. Now we are with Blaziken. I use one bulk up on the Shelgon, and I go for Hidden Power, which is super effective. My Hidden Power typing for Blaziken is Hidden Power Ice. Not because it's out of the way like Ice Beam was for Swampert, this was my only good answer for Drake. And here's the thing, in Pokemon Sapphire, 4 of his 5 Pokemon are 4 times weak to Ice because he has 2 Flygons. In Emerald, they swapped one of the Flygons out for a Kingdra, so only 3 of his Pokemon were 4 times weak to Ice, but if you bring in something with an Ice move like Hidden Power Ice, you can just straight up just destroy his ass. I don't really need to mention Swampert, do I? It's pretty much the exact same strategy. Although, but the disadvantage is, I'm not able to knock out the Shelgon due to my lower special attack compared to the others, and it's actually able to get off a Rock Tomb lowering my speed, but speed isn't really the main concern for Swampert just because of how bulky it is. And then I can take out the rest of Drake's team, and that's the Elite Four. Now we just have the champion Steven Stone. Let's get on with it. With Sceptile, on the Skarmory, I use Hidden Power Fire for the one-shot. Now for the Cradily. This thing is neutral to grass, so I use Leaf Blade to do over half, and it hits me with Sludge Bomb for not that much damage. Now for the Armaldo. I don't really have a good answer for it, but my best move is just Leaf Blade. Luckily it does more than half, so a second one easily knocks it out. I get to level 70 over a damage rounding threshold, and then one Leaf Blade knocks out the Clay Doll. Now on the Metagross, I use Hidden Power Fire to do 3/4, and unfortunately it goes for Meteor Mash and I get a reset. Okay, I know what I need to do. On the Cradily, I actually use Attract. This is the reason I make my Pokemon female. In Generation 3, a lot of the hard trainers have male Pokemon, like Steven Stone, Wallace, the rival in Fire Red and Leaf Green, so I use Attract to prevent myself from getting hit with too many moves. I can't use Attract on the Metagross though because it's genderless. I misclicked anyway and go for it, but Metagross just ain't into that, and it gets me another reset. On the next attempt, when I get to the Cradily, I use Attract, it breaks through and it poisons me with Sludge Bomb, so I just reset right away. Alright, back to the Cradily. Can I actually get some good luck with Attract? It gets immobilized by Love, I hit it with Leaf Blade. It hits me with Sludge Bomb again, but I move on because hopefully I can knock out the Armaldo without taking damage. Unfortunately, it hits me with Aerial Ace, so I have to quickly reset. I need to give myself just enough HP to survive Meteor Mash. Luckily though, 11 resets into the run. The only time I get hit is one Aerial Ace from Armaldo, so I'm at way more health than I was the last time I was at Metagross. I go for Hidden Power Fire, which does 3/4, Meteor Mash does half of my remaining health, and then despite it using a Citrus Berry, Hidden Power Fire knocks it out, and then on Aggron, due to its low special defense, and even though it has the Steel typing, so it's not weak to Grass, it does just enough damage, and I knock out Steven Stone, and Sceptile has beaten Pokemon Sapphire with a final time of 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 1 second. With 11 resets at level 70, and a game time at the Hall of Fame of 4 hours and 35 minutes. Blaziken is going to have a very clear advantage at Steven Stone. I knock out his Skarmory with Blaze Kick, then on the Aggron I miss Blaze Kick and get hit with a nasty Earthquake. And I just remembered, it's 4 times weak to fighting, so I use Sky Uppercut. Then on the Metagross, I misclick and go for Sky Uppercut when the Psychic typing makes it neutral to fighting. I should have gone with Blaze Kick and I get a loss. On the next attempt, I actually do use Blaze Kick on the Metagross. I survive a hit from it. Now we're on the Armaldo. I go for Sky Uppercut, which does neutral damage. I really should have gone for Blaze Kick, but oh well. Then on the Clay Doll, I used Hidden Power Ice. It lives and it uses Light Screen, so now my special moves don't do as much. So now it's able to heal up, and I have to use Sky Uppercut on it, and I miss the next one, and I get hit with Earthquake. Then when I get back to the Metagross, I'm able to move on at only 49 HP left. I again go for Sky Uppercut on Armaldo when I should not have done that. Then on the Clay Doll, I use Blaze Kick to do almost all of its health, but I get killed with Earthquake. I was kinda hoping it would have used Light Screen that time, because I need to live, you know? I ended up deciding that on the Skarmory, I should probably set up with Bulk Up just so I can boost my attacking power just a little bit. It's just unfortunate though that Blaze Kick is not a physical move in this game, but it doesn't matter. I get a high roll and knock it out in 1 hit. Then on the Armaldo, I actually Blaze Kick the thing. Then on the Clay Doll, I use Blaze Kick. I actually knock it out. Then on the Cradily, I use Blaze Kick. It barely lives. Sludge Bomb leaves me at 1 hit point left. I use another Blaze Kick, I knock it out, and Blaziken has beaten Pokemon Sapphire, just barely, with a final time of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 25 seconds, with 21 resets at level 66, with a game time at the Hall of Fame of 4 hours and 3 minutes. However though, we still have Swampert to go over. Swampert is miles ahead in the lead, so it's pretty much going to win no matter what, unless it gets 15 resets or something. On the Skarmory, I go for Surf. I get hit with Toxic, so that's an immediate reset because I did not equip a Pecha Berry. On the second battle, I actually do equip a Pecha Berry just in case, but it just wastes its 1 turn setting up spikes. So I go defeat it, get to level 65, and then Aggron is also 4 times weak to Earthquake, so it one-shots it very easily. Then on the Cradily, it pretty much is neutral to everything I have, so I just go for Surf, which crits, and I knock it out. Surf knocks out the Clay Doll in 1 hit. Then on the Metagross, I use Earthquake. Hopefully it knocks it out. It barely does not. Luckily, Psychic doesn't do that much damage. The Citrus Berry doesn't heal it at a full restore range. So unfortunately it is able to heal, but 2 more attacks knock it out. Then on the Armaldo, I go for Surf, and I knock it out. And Swampert has beaten Pokemon Sapphire on the first try against Steven Stone, with a final time of 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 28 seconds, at 12 resets at level 65, and a game time at the Hall of Fame of 3 hours and 50 minutes. To be honest, looking at these results, this was not even close. Swampert easily destroyed the competition. Blaziken is 9 minutes or so behind Swampert, and Sceptile is around 6 minutes behind Blaziken. So overall, there's like a 15-minute gap between Swampert and Sceptile. The thing is, Swampert is generally one of the most overpowered starters ever created. I'd say the only other starter that's more broken than Swampert is probably Primarina because it has the part fairy typing. I think Meowscarada in Scarlet and Violet is also pretty overpowered too because its signature move guarantees a critical hit. Plus, if we look at the level in the resets, Sceptile needed the highest level at level 70, Blaziken needed level 66, Swampert level 65. Blaziken though got a ton of resets. That is mostly because of Tate and Liza. I should have been a few extra levels higher, but even if I was, this thing would not have beaten Swampert. I've done Swampert in a Gen 3 randomizer in Fire Red. It's first place on my leaderboard, and it has been for a long time, because it just gets everything. Same type attack bonus Surf, Earthquake, and it has the very good attack stat to use it. So yeah, it's really, really good. So it honestly makes sense that Swampert is the clear winner of this race. So if you take a look at our leaderboard, Swampert is in first place, and unfortunately Blaziken's in third place because Ursaring actually did a bit better, mostly thanks to a same type attack bonus return, getting bulk up, and then right behind Charizard is 5th place Sceptile. So Sceptile honestly performed just as well as Charizard, and that's with Charizard being the first stream I've ever done. And then right below it is just Metagross, Relicanth, and Steelix. Metagross is way better than all of these starters in terms of stats and moveset, but the main reason Metagross is that low is just because of its slow experience group. It takes forever to get levels. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the Pokemon Sapphire video for December. The next video we'll be doing is Pokemon Leaf Green. This will be probably the longest video in the month, aside from the randomizer race. I will be doing Pokemon Leaf Green, but instead of a 3-way race, I couldn't really think of many 3-ways to do. It'll be a 5-way race with all the final evolutions of the game: Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Umbreon, and Espeon. They all have very similar starts, but it gets very different into the mid to late game. I hope you're all excited for it. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more, and be sure to follow me on my socials or support me on Patreon or YouTube memberships. Links are down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.